If you are an entrepreneur, chances are at some point during your journey, you have felt what is known as imposter syndrome. In this video, I'm going to share my 5 favorite exercises to banish imposter syndrome forever. My name is Kay Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist. So what is this thing that we're speaking of? So the California Institute of Technology Counseling Center defines it as feelings of inadequacy that persist even when information that proves the opposite is present. So in other words, feelings of who am I to post this video on YouTube? There are people who have millions of subscribers who are way more eloquent and polished than I am, people who are skinnier than I am, people who are more experienced. Who am I to do this really scary thing and put myself out here in this way? True feelings going on in my head. But the information that presents otherwise is that I know that my previous work, the work that I've done with clients, the conversations that I've had with entrepreneurs, that the messages that I've produced in the past have helped people. So if I don't produce new stuff, then I'll stop continuing to help people. So hence the imposter syndrome. I feel like an imposter even though I'm probably not one. So why do we feel it? A lot of it stems from the social media landscape that we live in. We have this constant state of comparisonitis that can attack and make us feel like we're not good enough to do what we're the best at, that we're not worthy of helping the people that we want to help. And that's just sad, right? Because if we self-censor ourselves, or if we stop helping people, if we don't live up to our full potential, then the world is deprived of that genius and of that service that we can bring to the world. So we need to find ways to overcome it so that we continue on our path and continue growing. And as you grow in the ranks, as you continue on your journey of entrepreneurship, the bad news is it can show up at any point. So even if you're making $1 million a year, even if you are being recognized in all of the top media outlets, all the top magazines, if you're in Forbes and Entrepreneur and whatever, it can still show up. Self-doubt, imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it, still shows up. It often shows up whenever you're going through a transition period. So recently myself, I've transitioned from all agency style done for you work into a more advising and consulting role. Even though that's the part that I was the best at with my clients anyway, it brings up new feelings of doubt, new feelings of just not being sure if I'm doing the right thing. Frankly, whenever you're doing something that's kind of scary or imperative for your growth, like publishing work, putting yourself out there, getting visible, trying something new, investing in yourself, these feelings can crop up. And then also, even though we have the constant input of seeing what our competitors are doing all the time, we actually don't have a lot of internal structures built into our life as entrepreneurs where we're getting consistent feedback from people who actually know us. So, we might get trolled on the internet, but we're not getting like a performance review from a boss every quarter who sees what we're actually doing behind the scenes. So we're not getting this fair and balanced pat on the back, hey, you're doing a great job. You're getting more superficial data and feedback when it comes to your work. Okay, so we've covered the fact that it happens to everybody, that it can happen at any point, and that none of us are immune. So what do we do about it? Let's go into the 5 strategies that I use to stay on my path, stay in my lane, and keep on growing, even when I feel like an imposter. So the first tool is to adopt an action mentality. And I have a specific exercise for us to do that. So when you know that you want to be something greater, you want to do something really amazing, but you don't know what to do and you don't know if you're going to be great at it or what people are going to say or think or do or whatever, like all of the chatter in your mind is stopping you from getting into action. This is a great tool to move back into action because action squashes doubt. So it's a T-chart exercise. Draw a line down the middle of a piece of paper, and on the right side of the paper, I want you to write down all of the actions. So not the feelings, not the internal stuff that's you presume might be happening in the minds of the people that you look up to, but whoever is doing what you want to do, write down what they actually are doing on a day-to-day basis. So for me, when I got started building my personal brand online, I came from a digital marketing agency where I was more behind the scenes and I was stepping out into my personal brand. I had a bunch of these feelings pop up. So I did this T-chart exercise for myself and I started looking at other experts in the online space. And I noticed that they were creating content. I noticed that they were being interviewed, that they were being quoted on other people's blogs. I also noticed that they were friends with other influencers. So once I had that assessment, I knew what I wanted to be doing in the future. I could then take a look at my resources and capabilities. And on the left-hand side of the paper, I want you to write down everything that you could do right now to get yourself closer to the right-hand side of the paper. So for my observation that experts in this space were creating a lot of content, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever, I started writing a blog. I also, back then, I had a podcast for a little while called the In Demand Brand Podcast. So I knew that that was going to get me closer to that desired end state. And the fact that you're just getting into action is going to start squashing some of that doubt. So that's tool number one. All right, so tool number two is to flip the script, change your perspective. When we're holding ourselves back, it's probably because the voices in your head are playing devil's advocate. They're telling you all of the reasons why you can't do something, or why you're not qualified, or why you're not experienced enough. So what I want you to do is to identify the loudest voice, the one that's telling you the biggest weakness that you think that you have that's going to stop you from ever achieving these heights of success that you want to get to. And I want you to flip the script. So instead of telling yourself that you are too old, I want you to focus on the fact that you are wise and experienced. Or if you think that you're too young to succeed, I want you to focus on the fact that you are in tune to social media and to trends and to the youthful generation that's coming up. Whatever your story is that you're telling yourself about why you can't succeed or why you can't compete, I want you to flip the script and identify what is positive about those perceived weaknesses. I guarantee this is a life changer. Right, exercise number 3 is to gather and then refer back to evidence that you actually are incredible. So whenever I get a nice email in my inbox, I save them in a special folder so that whenever I'm feeling kind of down or unsure of myself or not sure what route to take or if I should even keep doing this entrepreneurship thing at all, I refer back to my love notes folder. And you can do this in different ways. So you can have an inbox that's set aside. You can have an I Love Me book. My husband does this. He has a career where he gets lots of performance reviews and they hand out lots of awards, and he has gathered them all into a big 3-ring binder that says I Love Me book. So you could do that in physical form, whatever you need to do, gather evidence that shows without a doubt that you actually are amazing at what you do. If you don't have that evidence yet, go out and get it. What I mean by this is if you have never had a client yet, if you haven't worked with people, if you don't have any testimonials, offer your services for free so you can prove to yourself and to the market that what you do is valuable and that who you are is amazing. Okay, exercise number 4 is all about managing your inputs. I am a firm believer that you need to obsessively and constantly curate your life. And what do I mean by this? I mean that you have a choice on what blogs that you're reading, on who is showing up in your Facebook and your Instagram newsfeed. You have a choice to curate exactly what you want to influence your moods, emotions, and feelings. So if there's a certain entrepreneur or a certain brand or something that makes you feel inferior all the time, stop following them. Unsubscribe from their email newsletter. Don't follow them on Facebook or on Instagram. Just pay attention to how you feel when you are encountering people. And if there's a pattern where you are getting triggered by a certain person, unfollow them. I've even had a previous client of mine who went completely nuclear and unfollowed everybody. And this can be a good option if you're just feeling that way about everybody. So the key is to get out of consumption mode and to start creating a lot more, because when you quiet all the noise, it gets easier to tap into what you know, what you think, what you believe, so that you can start sharing that with the world and interacting with people that way. Much, much more healthy to create than to be always consuming. You can't lead if you're just consuming other people's content. To be a leader, you have got to create content. All right, final tool for dealing with imposter syndrome. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, people deal with this at every single level. So even if you're talking to an entrepreneur who's been doing this a whole lot longer than you have, they probably have tools to manage it better, but it's still gonna pop up. And it can be really helpful to have a support system of people who are doing similar things. I love in Brené's book, Daring Greatly, where she says, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember it exactly, but only take feedback from people who are also in the ring with you. The people who are face down in the dirt, getting dirty, putting themselves out there, putting their egos on the line. So form a cohort of those types of peers, other entrepreneurs, other makers, other artists, whoever you identify with, so that you can commiserate and support each other as needed. This can be your form of your quarterly review, especially if you adopt a more formal mastermind structure where you have a hot seat and you share the different things that you're struggling with and get feedback and support from those fellow members. And even if it's unstructured, just having a conversation with a friend who really gets it can be all the difference in the world. Don't focus on the feedback from people who don't understand what us entrepreneurs do on a day-to-day basis, because this stuff is hard. There's just no getting around it. It is hard to constantly be stretching your comfort zones and getting visible and dealing with internet trolls and all of that stuff. So surround yourself with people that know that, get that, and can support and love on you even when you're feeling down. All right, so I hope these 5 tools are helpful. As an entrepreneur, imposter syndrome is bound to pop up. Use one or all 5 of them to get out of your funk and start operating from your genius, because gosh darn it, we need you. The world needs you, and I'm so excited to see you at your best.